And we are live.
All right.
Okay, how's it going?
It's going good. I see the live button, so it's going good.
Nice. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bullmoose Beer Talks. I am Danny, and today we are talking a little bit about being a cosplay model. And my guest tonight is...
I'm TheSlothGoth, also known as Alora. That is my secret identity.
Awesome. Okay, so Alora, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking my famous, original cocktail. My mom hates it, but it's actually called wine in a coffee cup.
Okay, I'm not sure what that is. What is it again?
It is wine, but in a coffee cup.
No, wine in a coffee cup. Got it. I thought you said a Kafka. I wasn't exactly sure what that was.
It looks like you're being fancy, like, oh, you're having a cup of tea before bed, but you're having a cup of 11% alcohol. The wine I'm drinking is called Lake Girl. It's just manufactured in California, but I like it. My mom likes it because we're from Minnesota and we're all lake girls here.
All right. I am drinking the India Pale Ale Compass. I guess the camera is a mirror. That's kind of weird.
I can see it. It says Compass. It doesn't flip it to me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
And I'm drinking that again out of my Stein.
That's cool. Very German, right?
It's from Germany.
That's awesome. My grandma's very German, so it runs in my blood.
Me too. My last name is very German. I'm not going to say it straight out on the stream, but it's German for chicken farmer.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up now because I'm all about learning that kind of stuff because I have a very, very Norwegian last name and I'm not really sure what it means, where it comes from, whatever. Yeah, I always see people with the kind of last name that I have, and I'm like, oh, you're from my land.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, okay, so introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
All right, I am TheSlothGoth. I'm from Minnesota and I cosplay. I craft, I sew. I am one of the very few cosplayers you will see at a convention on roller skates, flying around the convention. Very handy when you have a lot of places to go in one day, I learned. I'm currently getting into more body paint characters. I just think it's so pretty and I'm just really diving headfirst into that kind of concept of cosplay. It's kind of daunting to some people being covered in sticky paint.
That's body paint?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm getting really into that and I'm trying to master that art and that technique. And yeah, I also do a little bit of photography. I take most of my own photos. In Colorado, I actually had a go-to photographer in my the town that I lived in, and he was amazing. And then I got to work with a couple other good names in the cosplay community. But out here, I just don't have anyone to take my own, my photos. So I started doing it more myself. I did it myself before, but I was more hobby, very small projects, and now I'm just kind of going full force. I'm currently just clearing out a space in my upstairs here so I can set up my in-home studio, and I have lights and cameras and stuff like that, and backdrops. So yeah, I also just started doing YouTube recently, just this past month, and I'm trying to make it my goal to do a video that's cosplay related every Saturday. So I know that was a lot, but it was in my notes. And I wanted to just introduce myself that way, I guess.
Fair enough. And for those of you in the chat and watching this video at home that don't know, cosplay is a type of modeling, except rather than, let's say, lingerie or the latest fashions, you dress up as fictional characters, right?
Yes. It comes from the term or the word called of costume play, and it comes from the heels from Japan. That means you dress up in a character and you act that way. And I'm one of those people who get into my character, and it's so much fun. I do some modeling, but mostly I love to go to cons, and I volunteer with a couple organizations, and I just love embodying every character that I do.
That's awesome. So let's talk about a little bit of your history, right? What first got you into cosplay, and did you try other things before? I know we were talking, you said that you were friends with my friend Nikki, who was in a previous video. Did you do anything like theater, dancing, singing before that?
No, I always wanted to, because when I lived in the same town Nikki lived in, she was really big into theater, and I just never...
Hold on, I'm going to interrupt you 1 second. Somebody in the chat asked a question. Sorry, I just don't want to...
That's okay.
Eclipse Brewing said, what is your favorite character to cosplay?
So it's kind of like a running theme, that every year I take a female superhero and I kind of like, she's my go-to gal. Last year was Captain Marvel. This year was Power Girl. She's one of my most popular ones for obvious reasons, if you ever see some of my work. So yeah, I love doing Power Girl, but right now her costume is in pieces in an envelope in my hoard somewhere because I'm going to redo her. So she was my favorite, but because the Captain Marvel movie's coming out, I'm really looking forward to getting her suit and taking on the, the name of Captain Marvel again, if you will. So I mean, she's my girl. My friend Justine got me this for Christmas last year, and she's my only pop. Now I got rid of a lot of stuff.
In the new movie, Captain Marvel is an Academy grad.
Yes, she is. Oh my gosh. Watch the video I did with Nikki, because we talk about that for like the first 30 seconds. We talk about Captain Marvel, and you'll get it. And I think you'll find it amusing with what she has to say about being in the Air Force and having her compared to Captain Marvel.
Okay, so I explained, sorry, before I interrupted you, go on with what you were going to say.
Oh, my history. Okay. So I basically never stopped dressing up for Halloween. I think I stopped dressing up for Halloween one Halloween, and I was so sad because I was at like an event where everyone else was dressed up. So I always never stopped dressing up for Halloween. I always appreciated the art, but I lived in the boonies where we, like, going to a Comic-Con was going to a small hotel 3 hours down the road, in a very, small con is a small hotel. And that just wasn't possible for, like, my parents weren't going to bring me to that and, like, hang out there because it was so far away from home. So I never got to embody myself in that. But when I was about 19, I worked at a store in which we were able to, like, dress up on the weekends, and we were glad to dress up every day, but especially on the weekends and have fun kind of days like that. And I actually had a coworker who did a really great Suicide Squad Harley Quinn, and she loved that character and she always wore her. So that kind of got me interested. Like, well, she's a mom, like, she's cool. She has, like, amazing personality, and she's confident enough to wear this, like, to work.
Right.
It was Hot Topic, if you haven't guessed. I was, like, trying to be vague, but I was like, this is kind of weird because, like, she wore booty shorts. So I'm like, it's Hot Topic. We sold the clothes. She could wear whatever. So I was really inspired by her. And then I just kind of drugged that into real life. And I wanted to go to conventions. I started making costumes. I started investing in costumes, like the cheap, like, Zentai bodysuits you buy on eBay that fall apart in one use. That was my first cosplay. It was a Spider-Gwen, and I loved her. So that was my first one, and I bought her in October 2016. And then just the past, like, last year was kind of like I bought another costume. I made, like, kind of half a costume. But once I moved to Colorado, I met my tribe. February of this year, I met my people. I met my tribe. I met like-minded people like this, because I went to a cosplay kind of party at a bar in February by myself, and I just met all my friends. All my friends. I went in cosplay, and I met all my friends there. And since then, I have just, like, hit the ground running, and I've been producing sometimes 2 to 3 costumes a month. Not all of them are extravagant as the rest. There's somewhere I'm like, I made a Riverdale cheerleader costume that I bought at Hot Topic. But others are like, look at this ridiculous bodysuit and all the body paint that entails in it. So that's kind of like the brief history of, like, how I got into it. I was never in theater. I met Nikki at like a Christmas party 2 years ago, and I was just like honored that she was like my friend. So I was like into art growing up, and recently I started getting more into photography. Yeah, otherwise it just kind of like evolved from being an artist and wanting to sell your own prints and being a photographer and taking people's pictures to like, well, why don't I take my art and put it into something I've always wanted to do, which is cosplay. Because like one thing that I was always inspired by were superheroes, pinups, and love. And that's something that you can take from take from art and put it into cosplay, literally. And then taking people's photos, I still love doing that. I just did a mini photo shoot myself earlier today because it was 20 degrees out. It was a heat wave. So I went outside and did that. And I just took all these passions that I had growing up.
You're talking about all the way up there.
And I put it into cosplay.
All right. So that's your backstory. What is the history behind the name TheSlothGoth?
Oh my gosh, I love when people ask this. Sip. So, like my name, it's a parallel to my life, which is a joke, an ongoing joke. So TheSlothGoth was actually my Instagram handle. Before I got into cosplay, I was a gothic, like art hoe type of like, you know, just kind of like artsy girl who didn't really know her place in life. And I thought TheSlothGoth was I was so edgy. Look at my ghost t-shirt. I'm still edgy. What are you talking about? So TheSlothGoth was my Instagram handle, and I thought it was funny, and everyone else thought it was funny because it's like, yeah, that's what you work a hot topic and you love sloths, like you're TheSlothGoth. SlothGoth was actually taken, so I put the in front of it. And I had that for like a year or two, and then I got into cosplay, and I just never changed it. And everyone just thought it was funny, so I just kept it. And I'm like, I dug myself too deep into this hole. I can't get out of it because like at the point where I was like, oh, I'm kind of rocking this. I really like this. I should probably change my name. I was having like people recognize me as TheSlothGoth, and I'm like, well, shit, it's too late. I can't change it.
One of our viewers, Ronnie S, says that's a badass t-shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Let's just take a moment for this shirt because I love this shirt because it looks like he's grabbing at my titties, and I'm like, all right, I like it. Hail Papa. I hate the Cardinal. I hate his new rendition, whatever he's doing right now. If you're not a Ghost fan, go listen to them on Spotify.
This is good beer. I'd appreciate it if you did not make me spit it out.
I'm sorry. Like, I don't really. I have a weird sense of humor, and then like I think we're drinking wine and beer, talking about cosplay. I don't think this is going to be like a super touchy, censored area.
All right. So what are you currently doing? I mean, aside from talking to me and drinking, like in your career, do you have any events coming up? Are you planning on going to any cons like Comic-Con, BlizzCon, etc.? I don't know what's around or what's going on.
So right now, it's kind of like everyone kind of goes into hibernation, like the end of November into December, and partially into January. Everyone just kind of like calms down for the holidays. So last month, I wanted to reach out to conventions and try to book myself for a convention for next year. That was one of my goals. And I had a lot of conventions saying like, oh, we don't know what we're doing right now. We're going to pick up in 2019. I said, that's okay. That's fine. So I have nothing's booked, nothing scheduled, but I hope to get something booked by the end of January. Because I was a guest in October this year at ValleyCon in Fargo. And that was an amazing experience. So no, nothing so far. Yeah, otherwise, what I'm focusing on right now is I'm really goal-oriented. I talk about this in my YouTube videos. And I want to, complete like 5 cosplays by February 1st. And I have a couple of them already done or in the process of being done. Yeah, I'm just trying to do that. And I'm trying to like do a YouTube video every Saturday, try to see where that goes. Basically just focus on bettering my skill set. So come this spring when it's like con season, I can just hit the ground running and just be ready for 2019, and not have to worry. Like, I talk about this a lot in my videos. I don't do con crunching. I don't like to stress before a convention. I like to enjoy my time leading up to a convention. And then at a convention, I don't want to be finishing a project in a hotel room. So I like to have things done beforehand. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just kind of working on myself and taking it slow, but being focused on creating content for my YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, and then doing DIY photo shoots and getting that content made, and then finishing projects that I want for next year.
So the other part of my channel, in addition to drinking, I talk a lot about finance. So my question to you, I didn't give you this one pre-brief, sorry. What avenues are there for revenue as a cosplayer?
Well, the most notorious one would be, and this is for women and men, I've seen a couple of male cosplayers do this as well, is doing Luid boudoir photo shoots, and then selling those prints on Etsy and having them as rewards on Patreon. That's one way to make some fast cash, but like, what are you doing, in exchange for that? So that's one great way that people do that. And like, awesome, guys, like one day I hope to have the body where I can do that. But otherwise, what I do personally to make money for myself is I have a Patreon, and I have rewards, and I have a couple tiers, a $1 tier, a $5 tier, and I believe a $25 tier. And that's about it. And I have my rewards be pretty small, pretty mild, pretty meek. And everyone who's a Patreon on there right now is a close personal friend of mine, which I appreciate. And I just offer that kind of, rewards. I'll offer shout outs or Google Hangouts or like prints for the $25 tier people. Otherwise, you can also definitely sell prints. That's a big one. I have a friend who's amazing at sewing, Personify Cosplay. In case you need a costume made in Colorado, you can hit her up because she does commissions and she makes money off of that because her costume skills are amazing. And then I would hope to have one day my YouTube channel be big enough where I can create ad revenues, but there's only a handful of cosplayers who do make YouTube videos.
Hold on a second. I think we might be disconnecting a little bit. Can you talk for a sec?
Can I what?
Okay, we're back. Good. You were kind of fading out for like a moment or two.
Oh, darn. Okay.
You're back, though.
Okay, great. Did you hear what I said? Because I won't remember what I said.
Yes. No, I heard all but like the last 3 seconds of it. I think we're fine.
Okay. Okay, great.
I don't know. Can you get paid to show up to like conventions? Will conventions pay you?
Yes, definitely. If you're a big enough cosplayer, if you have a huge enough following, mostly when you're able to be recruited for a con, you have to have people recommend you, which is super hard. I am just going about the route of like, hey, how's it going? Let me email you, and here's my portfolio. That's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, you can also do that as well. I don't know anyone personally who does this because when I was a guest at ValleyCon in October, I just did it for exposure, and then they accommodated me and gave me a hotel room and stuff like that. So that was really nice. But otherwise, like, when you're starting out, that's about all you can get. Is like, hey, do you have a free weekend? Like, we'll give you a hotel room if you come down here. But if you become a big enough name with a couple thousand followers, conventions will pay you to come there and sell your stuff.
Sorry, there we go. I just posted your YouTube channel. Somebody asked for your YouTube channel, so I posted it in the chat.
Oh, awesome, thanks.
And then same thing with, I guess, Instagram too, right? If you become big enough, and then you can have basically sponsored posts and the like.
Yes. I haven't been able to do that yet. I've had that offered to me, but I know a couple of photographers and cosplay stars who also do that as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So any other products or channels or things that you want to plug at this point in time?
Definitely my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get off the ground here. I think I maybe have like 5 videos up right now, but I have 24 planned at the moment. My Patreon, I have a couple tiers out, and I'm just trying to like slowly build that up. As you know, when I get interest in like more interest into Patreon, I'll start building a little bit more. But I'm starting small right now. Yeah, and you can follow me on Instagram too. I took about a 2-week break from Instagram, and now I'm back, and I can feel that algorithm just hitting me, because I've noticed like my posts aren't being liked as much. People aren't watching my stories as much because I have been gone for 2 weeks. So that kind of sucks, but that's kind of like the world we live in. You gotta post every day and be interactive with everyone, and it's fine when you have like that kind of time and you want to invest in that. But I'm the kind of person who will just set her phone down for 12 hours and, make it a point to not look at it.
Mm-hmm. With that said, I'm kind of like the same way, a little bit. Mainly, I guess I'm just a little bit older. I'm not really sure. I'm Instagram. I found that out. I tried to make an Instagram the other day, and yeah, it is tough staying on top of every single social media to try and get your brand out there, whether it be Facebook, because like Bullmoose Beer channel has a Facebook page, it has a Twitter. I didn't make an Instagram for it. I made an Instagram for my dad, so I figured that'd be easier. That's what I messaged you on, Piper Golden Dog.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking on. It definitely is kind of like the audience that you want to attract as well. Like Tumblr is, in my opinion, Tumblr is almost totally dead right now. But back when I was like in high school in 2012, those were like the heydays where that's like one thing that you wanted to be on and contribute to. But yeah, definitely if you want to like reach more like a younger crowd of like our generation and younger, go on Twitter go on Instagram if you want to meet, reach out to more like millennials. This is what I found. This isn't like scientific or something. Go on Twitter. And like your YouTube channel is just mostly like interviews and videos and stuff like that. But unless you're like really photo heavy, like a model or a photographer or a fashion inspiration blog or something, Instagram would be your best bet. But unless you are more like, oh, I'm a comedian, I do that kind of stuff, like Twitter, like the verbal sense would be like more your area. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Thing I noticed particularly, and it's kind of frustrating. So like trying to share my stuff on, let's say, Facebook. So the Bullmoose Beer Talk Facebook channel has like over 250 followers, but anytime I post a link, like maybe 20 people see it. And what I've noticed from talking to a bunch of other people is Facebook doesn't like external links. And I say that with the Facebook algorithm and what they're showing people.
Yep.
So if you're a Twitter or if you're linking them to a YouTube channel, that they're not going to see it because Facebook doesn't want them to. It would mean that they're losing the website traffic to Google. It means that they're losing ad revenue.
I never thought about that.
So yeah, it is just something that's frustrating. How you kind of, yeah.
But you also don't want to just exclusively post your videos to Facebook, because those people who aren't on Facebook, like my mom, who's like anti-Facebook everything, won't be able to see it and enjoy it. Because just my last video I posted on Facebook to see what kind of traffic I got, and I got so many likes and so many comments, and on YouTube the actual video got like 12 views.
And craft beer pours. Yes, I can see the chat now. Thank you. The last video I did, I wasn't able to see the chat, and they were making fun of me for it. Okay, so that's kind of a good transition, though. We're talking about all sorts of social media. We're talking about you know, potential sources of revenue. What are your long-term goals? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? You know, where do you want to take this career?
Oh, has external crisis. I didn't get this far in the list you sent. In 10 years, I really hope to still be cosplaying. I hope to just still be doing this, making commissions, still be doing YouTube. My dream would be still making YouTube videos if YouTube is even still around in 10 years, and doing tutorials and informing people about the cosplay world and life and talking about topics that we need to talk about more. So I would like to see myself do that, dream full-time job. I'm also part of a charity located in Colorado. This is awesome because you're in Colorado and most of my life is in Colorado. So it's also we have a charity in Colorado called Cat for Kids, and it's I believe it's Cosplayers Against Pediatric Cancer, and we have we help families that. I'm just a volunteer. I'm talking oh, it's my idea. I'm just this lowly volunteer. All my friends are on the board and stuff like that. We're all really close.
When this is over, can you give a link to the charity's website?
Definitely. Yes, and I'm going to also plug my friend Matt's Colorado Captain. Oh, I just had a moment there. I'm sorry, Matt. Colorado Captain. He is also a cousin of our charity, and I'll plug his website as well because we are cosplayers that help families of children who are going through cancer treatment. So we help them pay a month of their mortgage, help them buy a car, help them buy groceries and keep the lights on, basically. Because when a child is diagnosed with cancer, usually one parent has to quit their job in order to stay with the child full time while the other parent works and they're only on one income. So we want to come in and we want to help those families raise money, all that fun stuff. And then along with that, we also dress up as Avengers and we go to hospitals and we go to cancer, walks, runs, 5K, stuff like that, cheer the kids on, give them hugs, all that other fun stuff. So I'll link you both of those things because they're amazing things and they're located in Denver and everything is kept locally and it stays in your community. And I think that's so awesome. And I just want to see both of our charities grow. So that's my passion speech. I'll get off my soapbox. I'm just really passionate about this. And yeah, because that's where I found my family. That's where I found my tribe is with that charity and stuff like that. So yeah, I would like to be more involved in that in 10 years and keep doing YouTube and keep doing cosplay. My 50-year goal, I hope to be Michelle Pfeiffer in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and she's old Wasp and she's all ragged and she has one wing. I want to do that costume when I'm 63.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
In Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's the worst Avengers movie. And I'm but Michelle Pfeiffer's in it. She's my girl. She's Catwoman, and she's my girl crush.
No, I actually liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. I didn't think it was too bad. The worst Avengers movies, Marvel movies, was probably the first two Thors, I think.
Oh yeah, Thor 2 is terrible. Ragnarok is one of my favorites though.
I have to ask, what is that thing that is just fuming nonstop over in the corner?
Humidifier.
Okay. Oh yeah, I guess it does get super dry and up where you
are. In the winter it's terrible, but in the summer you're just walking through soup for half the summer.
Mm-hmm. Now you said that you were out in the boonies, right? I'm not going to ask where for obvious reasons. I know in Minnesota, the places that I've been were Duluth, obviously Minneapolis and St. Paul. And then the quote-unquote boonies to me was a little town called Ely. It's a super nice town. I don't mean to disrespect it at all because it's very, very quaint. And in the dead of winter, it's the most beautiful thing. It's got pine everywhere, snow everywhere. And me and my unit at the time, we actually went out to Ely and we went dog sledding.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and so it was that was a really, really fun time.
Was that closer to the cities? Was that closer to the south side of Minnesota?
I'm not entirely sure. No, definitely not closer to the south side. It was very far north. I don't think it was as north as I was. I was in a small town of under 900 people called Walhalla, North Dakota, and that is 6 miles south of the Canadian border.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I used to go snowboarding there, and you know why?
Wait. You went to the Walhalla ski resort?
Yes.
Okay, I need to make it very clear to everybody who's watching this. When I say ski resort, I am being heavily, heavily sarcastic and facetious.
And that's the good one. Bemidji, the Bemidji ski resort is terrible. Walhalla's where it's at. And there's
so
no,
I was all excited because
there's no phone service. You know why? Because we holla.
I lived within walking distance of this ski resort. And I was really excited because I snowboard. You know, I lived in Colorado for 4 years. I'm living back in Colorado now. Even when I was up in Massachusetts, we used to go up to Vermont. You know, for my entire adult life, I've been snowboarding every year. And so I get there, and I get on my snowboard, and I go down the hill, and I'm doing it too much justice by calling it a hill, and it is. I get down to the bottom of the hill probably within about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I stand on the magic carpet ride because the ski lift doesn't work. And the magic carpet ride, I spend about a minute going back up the hill. And so my ratio of going down the hill to going up the hill was a negative, like 3 to 1. And I spent, like, for every... It was terrible. For every minute I spent going back up this hill, I spent 30 seconds going back down it.
You were on the bunny slope. That's the only way they got
It was the only one that was open.
I hope they let you in for free. That sucks.
Long story short, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, I think the original owner passed away, and then a new company bought it. But the new company, as they were doing stuff, found out that nothing was within any kind of safety standard. So they were doing all sorts of renovations. Yeah, the only thing that was open for the year and a half I was there was that tiny little bunny hill.
Awesome. That is inspirational. Yeah, I actually have photos of myself, my senior year of high school at that resort, because I've been there like 2 or 3 times, and I think it's on my Facebook page. I can find it for you. We should make that the title card. And it's actually, I'm wearing one of those latex horse heads that were really popular a couple years ago, and I'm wearing that while snowboarding.
But yeah, so Walhalla, I lived there, and I'm 6 miles south. When I first got there, I went for a run. And I just ran along a road, I guess, that was going north. And I ended up at the Canadian port of entry.
Yep.
And the guards stopped me. And they asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm going for a run. And they said, well, you can't cross here. Do you have your passport? And I said, no, because I'm in shorts and a T-shirt, and I'm going for a run. I'm like, sorry, we got to turn you around.
Yep.
So that's a story about how I got stopped by Border Patrol.
Yeah. I have a couple cousins north of me here, and they actually have to be careful to not make, I don't know, they make many phone calls to Verizon, I guess, and tell them hey, we're in the United States, because their cell phones will bounce off the Canadian towers and they'll get charged roaming charges. So they have to call Verizon and be like, hey, we are in Minnesota, we're just that close to the Canadian border, and they're just a couple miles north of me. Mm-hmm. So I understand that, and I looked up Ely as well, and I actually have a friend and a family member, a couple of friends over by where you are, because those are it's by Virginia, Minnesota, just south, or where you were. So yeah, that was a pretty part of the country, Ely. I'm just on the opposite end of the state, in no man's land.
Have you ever seen an ocean?
I was just thinking about that today, because I went on a missions trip when I was 17 to New York, and we got to see the harbor and out to the ocean, but it was dark, and I just never had that experience of the ocean. This is beautiful. So I've never actually like properly seen the ocean. Like, this is beautiful. I actually, fun fact as well, I have actually, I hadn't met my first Jewish person until I was like 20 years old. I didn't know that was a thing because like, I heard a joke the other day about like, oh, the Midwest states are like the flyover states where they haven't seen no Jewish people. I'm like, I didn't know that they were here. So I think I was like 20 or 21 when I met my first person who was Jewish. Who, yeah, I thought that's pretty cool. That's Minnesota for you.
Winnie's, Minnesota. Congratulations on meeting a Jewish person.
And then I have like a friend right now who's like celebrating Hanukkah. I was like, this is so cool. Look how cultured I am.
Okay, before we get too far off topic, and Ronnie says, I wouldn't be able to live anywhere that's not close to the ocean. I agree, Ronnie, to a certain extent, although I do love the landlocked state of Colorado that I've lived in for almost 5 years of my life. But yeah, grew up in Jersey for my entire childhood. Mm-hmm. And then for a while I was living over in Plymouth, Massachusetts. So I've been around an ocean for a large portion of my life. It's very cool. You're missing out.
In New Jersey, it was like, it's such a small state. I just assumed it was like a very short drive to the shore where you can like go along the boardwalk and like actually enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm petting Piper right now. Piper's my golden.
I would have never have guessed your Instagram name is Piper the Golden, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Piper Golden Dog.
Golden Dog. Okay.
All right. Moving back a little bit onto script. What kind of challenges are you facing in your career as a cosplayer?
So I was asked when I was a guest at ValleyCon in October, how do you deal with the cosplay hate? And I had, sadly, like not sadly, but I was like, I'm so sorry. I have no experience with this. I just kind of like surround myself with a lot of like positive
what is
people.
Cosplay hate?
So a lot of like cosplay hate will stem from people who don't believe you should be cosplaying a character that's not your body type or not your color. Not your gender. Maybe it's a bad character. Maybe it's a character in the comics that like rapes someone. But in the movies or the TV show or something like that, that's not canon. It could be just, you know, you're cosplaying a villain or a Mary Sue character, whatever it may be. You know, you can look at any character and call it like, oh, that's controversial. You know, right now I'm looking at my Captain Marvel pop, and when she was Miss Marvel, she like there was a storyline where she had like incestual relations with like her son, and then gave birth to her own like husband. It was weird. It was the 70s, and I'm like, well, that's something that could be like so controversial, and people just hate that character, and they'll hate you for liking that character and cosplaying that character. And that's cosplay hate. And I'm a person. I'm 5'9", and I'm curvy, and I sculpt. One thing I haven't gotten hate for, but I've had people kind of like look down their nose for me for is I cosplay Power Girl, who's very busty, and I add bras and padding and stuff to make my boobs kind of go you know, and go together. And then I wear a corset to make my waist have that cartoon feel to it. I haven't gotten bullied for this, but I've had a lot of people make comments and kind of look down their nose to me and, you know, are like, oh, like, you shouldn't do that. You're like false advertising. Like, no, I'm cosplaying. Like, I'm making myself this crazy extreme character. So that's one thing that people do struggle with in the cosplay community. Fortunately, I have not had to struggle with that as much. But that is a real thing, and I'm an advocate for stopping it. I don't believe in call it culture. But one thing I do struggle with, and I put this in my video called 6 Things I Quit for Cosplay. It was my last point, and I am going to put a stop to being sexually harassed in general in any way while in cosplay. I've had many instances while I'll be in cosplay, people want to take a photo with me and they'll put their hands around my waist without asking, or they'll want to pose with me. And I was in Power Girl one time and I had this guy, I won't tell you what kind of costume he was in because I don't want to call him out, and I've ran into him multiple times, but he wanted to take a picture with me, and he blatantly looked at my chest. He like had his friend take the picture and then looked at my chest, and I didn't realize what he was doing because he's also down here and I'm also way up here, and I didn't realize what he was doing until like the picture was already taken, and I felt so like ashamed, and I didn't like that feeling of, you know, having that. So this year, next time I put on a costume, I really want to make a point to, you know, say like, I don't appreciate you doing that. I don't appreciate you saying that. I don't appreciate you doing this, whatever, and walking away from a situation that I'm not comfortable in. Because a lot of times when we are in cosplay, we're embodying our character. We're being like really on top of like what we're doing, what we're saying, we're in character, blah, blah, blah. And we don't stop to think, how is this affecting me personally? So I'm going to be more aware of what I'm comfortable with, what I'm not comfortable with, seeing others in that kind of situation and encouraging, especially women, men, this happens to men as well, encouraging those to, it's okay to say, you know what, I'm going to walk away. You know what, I'm done with this interview. I am not comfortable with you asking me that question. I'm not comfortable with that compliment. There was one time I was flossing I was like doing that dance, the floss, like the last 3 minutes of Denver Comic Con on a Saturday. So like the floor was wrapping up.
I thought you meant you're like taking a piece of string, sticking it through your teeth. I was like, that's a really
I would probably in my con bag right now, like emergency supply kit. No, I was doing the dance, and some guy took out his camera and started filming me, and it was my first big con, and it was so awkward. I'm like, haha, like, all right, I'm gonna stop, and I'm like, oh, like, you don't need that. Like, don't do that. Like, I'm awkward. And he's like, no, I don't think you're awkward at all. I think you're really hot. And like walked away. And I'm like, first of all, don't film me without asking. Secondly, that's a comment that I don't really appreciate. It was like uncalled for. So 2019, big, strong 23-year-old Alora wants to start doing that and raising awareness. So that's one thing I'm struggling with in my career, is like gaining that confidence to stop doing that, and also encouraging other people to tell them you don't have to put up with that.
I get that. And then this last part is just open general discussion. Anything you want to talk about.
Have you ever been to a convention, and do you know the con culture, or am I just talking French to you right now?
No, you're not talking French. I wouldn't be able to understand you. I don't know French. I do know a little bit of German. Good Morgen. I guess Guten Abends, but I haven't been to a con yet. It's something that I always want to do, and I always say I'm going to do, and I always say I'm going to go with my friends, and then just something gets in the way. Or, you know, it's not in the city that's close to me, or, you know, something like that.
They're expensive.
They are expensive. Tickets get pretty expensive. I thought about going to like a PAX, but or I think BlizzCon was just a couple months ago or something like that. But again, things didn't line up. I got really busy. Work got in the way. 1,000 other excuses that I made for myself, and I never ended up going. But the language that you're speaking is not foreign to me. I know other individuals who cosplay, both professionally and then, you know, just some friends who dress up and go do things to have a good time, so on and so forth. So I do understand what you're saying.
Okay, good. And also, the good thing about the Colorado is like
Ronnie wants to know what the floss dance is.
Look it up. Just type in Fortnite floss. There's like a couple thousand videos, I'm sure, of kids, 12-year-olds doing that dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're in Denver, or no, you're not in Denver, but Denver's a big location that has a lot of conventions, and thankfully it's like right in the middle of the state where people usually flock to that. So yeah, like Denver Pop Culture Con is, you know, a really big one that's a great like introductory to the con scene, and it's so much fun. It's just so much to do. Unfortunately, this past year was my first big convention, and I went to Denver Comic Con when it was called Denver Comic Con and not Pop Culture Con, and I just volunteered all weekend with Cap for Kids, and I saw like a fourth, no, not a fourth. I'm thinking like bigger numbers, like a 24th of the convention, what it had to offer. So it's really fun, and I encourage like anyone who just loves anything geek. If you're just like, I just love the Marvel movies, go to a con and see the cosplay and see the panels and see the merchandise, and it's oh, I would take it over any kind of vacation. I would rather go to a convention than go to like, I don't know, Venezuela. No, is that a place or is that a person?
Venezuela is a place.
It's a place.
Definitely not a person.
So yeah, I think I have talked your leg off and stood on my soapbox one too many times tonight.
You're fine.
I'm just really passionate about cosplay, and hopefully that will pour more into my videos. And I can just tell every video that I make, I get a little bit better with editing and talking. Hopefully throughout this. Also, if you haven't noticed, I have kind of like a speech impediment, and it gets really bad with if I like drink a little bit. I'm like, brr. If I get drunk, I'm just inaudible. Like,
yeah, my speech impediment is called a Northeast accent.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, like, and doing YouTube videos has really encouraged me to start talking more clear and think out, you know, thoughts before I say them, because once they're on a video, like, you can ruin your whole cosplay career and your YouTube video career if you say the wrong thing. So that's what I'm focusing on right now, and I think it's pretty much paid off, like, for the most part.
Do you ever plan on coming back to Colorado because you love it so much?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so New Year's Eve weekend, I'm coming down for a couple days. I'm going to go to NDK New Year's Eve. It's just going to be very chill.
Okay.
That's Natsu Deku Con, I believe. Everyone just calls it NDK because it's an anime convention, so it has like an anime Japanese name, but everyone calls it NDK, and it's a convention that is in August, and then they have a New Year's Eve party. They could invite people to, and they have like a charity casino and a dance and a rave, and people dress up. There's a dress code, and that's what I'm going to go to next over New Year's Eve weekend. It is in Colorado, and it's like, no, I don't believe there's like any merchants there. There's no cosplay guests. It's just a safe place to dress up in cosplay and dance the night away, I guess. It's going to be my first time. So I will be in Colorado for about 5 days, the end of this month. 20 days I leave. I'm so excited. But I really hope to move back to Colorado as soon as I can. I miss all my friends. I miss my cosplay family. I miss my Cat for Kids family. And yeah, I'm just trying to save up some money and get my life together.
One thing I wanted to ask, because I'm just curious about it. I didn't send it to you ahead of time. Maybe Denver, but is there like a city that's known for being a hotspot for cosplay? Like,
definitely Denver.
Okay, because I was going to say, you know, like how Broadway, you know, if you're into musical theater and you want to really jumpstart your career, you move to New York. If you're an actor or actress, you move over to California, LA, get that thing going. I was wondering if there was some sort of like hub where I want to be a cosplayer, you know, this is where I should move. These are the people I should network with.
Oh boy. Well, if you want to go that big, a lot of cosplayers will also do freelance modeling. They will. I know one big one that I know of lives in Chicago. There's also people in Seattle. A couple of them flock to Los Angeles because that's where they'll get modeling gigs and commercial gigs, whatever that will pay the rent, and then they'll do cosplay and stuff like that as like a side hobby, and then also be a guest at conventions. But as far as Colorado, I think our main place where because like you can't, Colorado's a great place for the cosplay community. I spent some time in North Dakota. I'm in northern Minnesota. We just don't have that booming kind of atmosphere around where we are at. But in Colorado, it's a great place to just start cosplaying. And then since Denver is right in the middle of the state, it's so convenient where if you want to, have a call out on Facebook and say, hey, let's do a photo shoot of this a TV show or this movie or the superhero team, you can shout that out and be like, let's meet in Denver, or let's meet at the Red Rocks, or let's meet in Estes Park, because it's just kind of like it's very easily accessible too. That, however, I lived in Fort Collins, which is like everything I just mentioned was like an hour or two drive away. I can't talk for the people who like live in Pueblo.
And except, you would drive an hour or two south. I would drive an hour or two north. So. Yeah.
So Denver is a great place to be, but you can basically be in anywhere in Colorado and break out and have that community to back you up as a cosplayer, because I have a couple friends who live in Pueblo and closer to like the New Mexico border. And they can, they just go to conventions and you still meet those people. One thing that I wanted to address on my YouTube channel, because I have a couple of people, I asked for recommendations, like, what do you guys want me to talk about? Like, give me something that you want to hear. I have a couple dozen ideas in my back pocket, but what do you guys want to hear? And a lot of people have said, let's talk about con horror stories, because there's a YouTuber out there, I won't name her name, but she has made her following on con horror stories. And I believe that they're kind of like really dramatic stories, like, calm down. That didn't actually happen. So
hold on. You're not getting away with just that.
And that what?
You're not leaving just yet. You brought up the topic of con horror stories.
Yeah.
I think you owe our audience a con horror story.
Okay, this is my point. I don't tell con horror stories because it's such a close-knit community where someone's going to see this video and be like, that was me, or I know that person. I know who she's talking about. The only time I'll talk about like a con horror story is like someone who can't sit with us. Like the guy who like I took a picture with, who was like blatantly staring at my boobs without like being like, hey, like, can we pose like this? He can't sit with us. And even then, I won't tell you like what he was dressed up as, like where I saw him, where we were, because I don't believe in call out culture, because we're such a close-knit community. I'll tell you the circumstance, but that's it. Otherwise, I don't really have a lot of con horror stories. Thankfully, my life has been perfect, and I'm sitting on a stack of money right now.
Fine, you get a pass this one time.
I'll think of one next time.
Okay. What about like really good stories? Do you have any really good stories about going to cons?
This one time I was at Denver Comic Con this past year. This is like the first story that popped up in my head. And I was at Denver Comic Con this year, and I volunteered with Gap for Kids all weekend, and that entails talking with people, telling them about our organization, telling the same, like, giving them the same song and dance you have given them like 20 times over in one day. And yeah, come Sunday, I'm so emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausted. My friend takes me, and then her dad came up for the one day too to see the con. She takes me, she takes her dad. We're like, okay, let's go out for lunch. Let's go to 16th Street, because you go down from the convention center to 16th Street, and you just have like that whole street of like options to eat from. You see cosplayers walking all around, and it's beautiful. It's like a parade of cosplayers. So we went. Okay, so one of my favorite Vines, I love Vine. That's a surefire way to my heart, is if you quote a Vine. And one of my favorite Vines is, "Hi, welcome to Chili's."
If you liked Vine, do you use TikTok at all?
So yes, I do. I do use TikTok, and I'm just getting started on that. So my favorite Vine is this one kid who's like in his boxers, and he has no shirt on, and he has his phone, and he comes into his bathroom, and he says, "Hi, welcome to Chili's," and I always quote it, and I always try to like reenact it, and my friends hate me for it. So, but I've never been to Chili's because we just don't have one up where I live. So my friend brought her dad and me to 16th Street and led us to Chili's, and she surprised me with bringing us to Chili's, and I started crying. I started laughing hysterically, and then tears started coming out of my face because I was so touched and happy and emotionally exhausted and just all over the map. I started crying because I went to Chili's. That's about it.
You live an exciting life.
I do.
And I guess that's all I have for you. Unless you have anything else for me, any last minute questions or things you wanted to say before we sign off for the night?
I don't believe so, other than, pardon my computer making a loud noise. Yeah, just check out my YouTube page. I talk just like this. I actually face the other way when I do my YouTube videos. I talk about cosplay, and I talk about social subjects we need to touch on in cosplay as well. Check out my Patreon. I need money in order to make these cosplays because this is a very expensive hobby, guys. If you put together like the material and time and products that you're working with, it is not cheap. Even just like I have the She-Hulk bodysuit that I just finished, and just that with the body paint, the wig, and nails and stuff like that, it adds up to a lot. So sponsor me on Patreon. I give away prints and shout outs, and I thought about doing a Google Hangout like this with you guys if I get enough people interested in that. Check out Cap for Kids. Check out Colorado Captain. They're both awesome Colorado-based organizations. All the money that you're going to put into those charities stay in Colorado. They stay in the state that I love and the state that you live in. So that's about it.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us today in the chat. I had a lot of fun hanging out with a lot of yous. TheSlothGoth, thank you for coming on to my channel and doing this interview with me. I really appreciate your time. And with that, I'm going to hit the stop broadcast button in 3, 2, 1.